You're watching Pyro Media Network. Hello, Pyro Media family. Thank you for tuning in. If this is your first time joining us, welcome. We hope your experience with us is fruitful. While we are loading your experience, please do us a quick favor and hit that like button from whichever platform you're watching or listening on. And we do hope you consider hitting that subscribe or follow button so you can check out more of our amazing content. All right, let's start the show.
What is going on, Pyro family? I am here, man. This is a crazy week and a crazy day. I was planning on bringing back Kwame Speaks Live next week, but today I just couldn't hold it in. First and foremost, let me welcome everybody into the fold. What's going on, Cyrus? Thank you for joining. Michaela, yes, indeed, it's only January, and it's the last Friday of January, which is ridiculous. Oop, hold on one second, y'all. So, hold on. Oop. Excuse me. Hold on. There we go. Sorry, I have my tablet on. Thank you, Michaela, for coming on through. What is going on, Keats? Thank you for joining. Timothy is in the building. The Prime Minister of Canada was right. We are imploding. Indeed. We're gonna get to it. Dr. Holt, yes, you are here. I know. I see it in your ellipses. I get it. What's going on, everybody? Thank you guys so much for tuning on in. If you are just tuning in, make sure you do me a favor and hit that like button, share, and subscribe. It does help the algorithm, and it does let people know that we are loud, live, and in color. We have a lot to talk about on today, and it's just a lot going on. Like I can't even. This is wild. This is wild stuff. Okay, let me just get this together here. See, I wasn't even planning on coming live today. I'm not even ready. Here we go. All right. Let's we got our top 3 Friday that we're going to be talking about today. We're going to be talking about the craziness that is going on with the arrest this morning of Don Lemon, as well as the journalist Georgia Fort. She's an independent journalist with as well as Don Lemon, who was a former CNN news anchor. And then we're going to also talk about the Fulton County election centers being raided and what's going on with that. But like I said before, make sure you guys are liking, hitting that like button right now. Stop what you're doing before you get involved, and make sure we get those likes up, please, and thank you. And if you're watching on a replay, thank you. And please consider subscribing if you haven't done so already. And if you like what is going on throughout today, you're more than welcome to donate to this platform. It's not only going to benefit this show, but all of the other shows on Pyro Media. You can go ahead and send a cash app to Pyro Media, or you can send a cash app to myself directly at Kwame C86. I want to thank you guys so much for the cash apps over the past couple of weeks for my birthday, as well as just general cash apps for Pyro Power Hour. All right, let's do a quick news drop real quick. I just want to get into some news before we get into our top 3 storylines today. First and foremost, we want to send our condolences to the family, friends, and loved ones of Catherine O'Hara, who passed away this morning. She was a star. She's a legendary star of one of the legendary films, Beetlejuice and Home Alone. And then she turned another star as by taking a star turn as Moira Rose on Schitt's Creek. And she passed away. She was 71 years old. So thank you for your contributions to Hollywood, to film and television, and your community journey. I know this is a huge hit to gay culture. She was a gay icon as well as to just the industry. She was a phenomenal actress and a comedian. So shout out to her legacy and those who are fans of hers. Yeah, it's crazy. You know what's funny? Well, it's not funny. You know what's crazy? And I know some of you haven't heard of it, so I apologize for dropping it like this, but I just found out literally a couple of minutes before we went live recently. But it's always the good ones that are getting taken away instead of the ones that need to be taken away. You hear that, Lord? Okay. You know what's best, Lord. Anyway, Luigi Mangione, if you guys remember, Luigi is alleged the alleged killer or unaliver rather of the United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson. This morning, a federal judge ruled that he will not face the death penalty for the alleged unaliving of the United Healthcare Health CEO Brian Thompson. Luigi Mangione is 27-year-old Ivy League graduate accused of unaliving 50-year-old United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson in Midtown Manhattan on December 4th, 2024. The U.S. District Judge Margaret Garnett dismissed the federal unaliving and firearm charges that would have made Mangione eligible for capital punishment. Their legal reasoning is the unaliving count depended on, quote, crime of violence, end quote, precedents tied to stalking charges. But the judge ruled stalking doesn't meet the legal definition required for a death penalty case under Supreme Court precedent. So I don't know what this means. I am not a legal attorney or legal expert. So these are just what is coming up. So the next steps looks like it's going to be prosecutors may appeal the death penalty ruling within 30 days, but Mangione remains detained awaiting trial. So he is still going to be going to trial for the remaining charges, which he still faces two federal stalking counts that could lead to life in prison without parole, and separate state charges, including second-degree unaliving, also carrying life sentences. So we'll see how all of that goes. And we'll see what's going on with that. Next up, we have really quickly this morning, the DOJ announced that they're opening up civil rights investigations. The U.S. Department of Justice has launched a federal civil rights investigation into the January 24th unaliving of Alex Preddy, a 37-year-old Minneapolis resident who was shot and unalived by U.S. Border Patrol agents during a federal immigration enforcement operation. Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche, who you see on the screen, said the FBI will lead the probe to determine whether Preddy's rights were violated, signaling increased scrutiny after public outcry and conflicting accounts about the shooting. So this marks a rare move because civil rights investigations aren't open for every law enforcement shooting, but it follows social media video that raised questions about the earlier descriptions of the incident. So I don't know what to make of this. I really think that it's interesting that you guys opened up a civil rights case on this. I don't know why you didn't open up a civil rights case for Renee Good either, but hey, I guess we'll see where it goes. I think this is just perfunctory, in my personal opinion. But at least they're taking a step in the right direction. But we'll see where it goes because we've seen, quote, steps in the right direction, end quote, and then it turns out to be BS. Ask Trayvon Martin. May he rest in peace. All right. The next situation that is going on this morning was the Epstein files update. The DOJ released millions more documents. The U.S. Department of Justice has released a major new trash of reports, of records related to the investigations of convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein and associates following a federal law requiring transparency. More than 3 million pages of documents were made public today, including about 2,000 videos and 180,000 images, according to Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche. The release comes well over a month after the December 19, 2025 deadline mandated by the Epstein Files Transparency Act, which ordered the DOJ to disclose all unclassified Epstein-related materials. Officials say extensive redactions were applied to protect victim identities and sensitive information. Some files are still being reviewed, while the DOJ insists the disclosure complies with the law and was not meant to shield any individuals. Critiques argue significant portions remain withheld and question delays. Y'all not gonna get these damn hey Cupcake, what's up, Queen? Y'all not gonna get these damn files. I just really want y'all to just kind of get over it at this point. This is just the way it is. We're not going to probably get the files until after this administration leaves. And this is if they don't destroy or make some type of damage to those files. We're not going to get it. So we're never going to get the real truth and proof of it. Exactly. We're not going to get it. So I think we need to just let it go and let's just move on. Okay. Oh, help us, Jesus. I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say about some of these things. I don't know what to say about what is happening in this country. But I will say that there's going to be hell to pay. That's what I will say. There's just some things that I just find extremely, extremely weird. And it's just. It's gross what I'm seeing. And it brings us to our top 3 situations that is happening today, our top 3 Friday. The arrest of Don Lemon. I did not think that he was going to get arrested. I thought that they were going to continue to try to prosecute him in court and try to drag him in court and go through all of the rigmarole that they do in court. I was not expecting him to be arrested. However, this administration never ceases to amaze me. Yes, throw some lemons out there for Don Lemon. Lemons and yellow hearts, please, for Don Lemon, because he has done amazing work. And let's just give you an update on what we currently know about what's happening with Don Lemon and take a look. Hold on, guys.
We begin the 8 o'clock hour with this breaking news. Journalist and former CNN anchor Don Lemon is due in a federal courtroom this morning after being arrested here in Los Angeles last night. The Department of Justice says it has revived a case that was rejected by a federal judge last week. It involves the disruption of a church service in Minneapolis by anti-ICE protesters that Lemon was covering as a journalist. KTLA's Omar Lewis, live in downtown LA, with this breaking news. Omar, good morning.
Good morning, Frank. Yeah, U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi says she directed the arrest of independent journalist and former CNN anchor Don Lemon and 3 others. Lemon, as you mentioned, was arrested here in Los Angeles last night. Pam Bondi says that this is all in connection to what she calls a coordinated attack at that Minnesota church during the protests. Lemon now denying any wrongdoing, saying he was there in his capacity as a journalist. We are expecting to make his first federal court appearance here at the federal building later today. Want to take you to the video, though, and tell you that federal authorities arrested Lemon in LA last night. His attorney says while he was in town covering a Grammy Week event at the Fairmont Century Plaza. Federal officials say the charges stem from an incident on January 18th in which Lemon and dozens of anti-immigration enforcement protesters, they rushed into a church in St. Paul, Minnesota. The group allegedly interrupted disrupting the service there that led to tense confrontations. While it's not immediately clear what exact charges he is now facing, federal prosecutors have argued the disruption crossed the line into interfering with others' rights to worship. Lemon says he was there in his journalistic capacity, documenting what was happening. The case is raising questions now about where the rights to protest end and press freedom begins.
Shameful. It's shameful to interrupt a public gathering of Christians in worship. So,
but there were folks who will say,
I have to take care of my flock.
okay, but listen, we live in there's a constitution in the First Amendment to freedom of speech and freedom to assemble and protest.
The protests unfolding inside the city's church in St. Paul, where an ICE official also serves as a pastor there. Demonstrators chanting ICE out. Lemon and his attorney say he was there as a journalist reporting on the confrontation, speaking with people involved. Attorney General Pam Bondi publicly warning that the administration will not tolerate attacks on places of worship. Federal prosecutors originally sought warrants for 8 people, including Don Lemon, but a magistrate judge signed off on just 3 people, not including Lemon. An appeals court also refused to expand that. Now, prosecutors appear to have taken the case to a grand jury, and they've come back with charges against Don Lemon and a Minnesota-based journalist who was also there covering the protests. Want to read you this statement this morning from Don Lemon.
So I'm not going to play the whole video, but that what you just said, Cupcake, is exactly what I was just about to say. Notice the verbiage of what they're saying, what they're using. They did not attack the church. They protested the church. Okay? Now, I'm not a fan of entering churches. I think they should have probably stayed outside and maybe protest. That's fine. But that still doesn't stop them from being able and have the right to protest within the church, which they did. It wasn't an attack. They didn't attack anybody. People there did not look like they feared their lives because they sat there and stayed there and watched them as they were protesting. Okay, they called the police and they told them to leave. But my problem is it's not the protesters themselves. It's Don Lemon and the other press that was there to cover the situation. So if Don Lemon is a part of the protest, which he clearly stated that he wasn't, and he said it several times during the coverage if you guys watched it. It is a part, it is, even if he wasn't pressed and he was just there filming it, it is a constitutional right. It is your First Amendment right to film anything that's going on in the world. That is your constitutional right in the country of the United States of America. This is a statement from their attorney, from Don Lemon's attorney, Abby Lowell. Don Lemon was taken into custody by federal agents last night in Los Angeles, where he was covering the Grammy Awards. Don has been a journalist for 30 years, and his constitutionally protected work in Minneapolis was no different than what he has always done. The First Amendment exists to protect journalists whose role it is to shine light on the truth and hold those in power accountable. There is no more important time for people like Don to be doing this work. Instead of investigating the federal agents who unalived or killed 2 peaceful Minnesota protesters, the Trump Justice Department is devoting its time, attention, and resources, taxpayer dollars, by the way, to this arrest. And that is the real indictment of wrongdoing in this case. The unprecedented attack on the First Amendment and transparent attempt to distract attention from the many crises facing this administration will not stand. Don will fight these charges vigorously and thoroughly in court. I'm frustrated because Pyro Media Network has press passes. Okay, we are a part of a growing population of independent journalists and independent commentators and independent organizations that have the right to independently report and comment and do commentary on entertainment, on politics, on pop culture, on news, what have you. It's not just relegated to the big mainstream media. And so Don Lemon, who was in legacy media, Don Lemon, who was an anchor at CNN, an anchor at CNN for over 20 years, is now doing his own independent journalism, created his own media organization, an independent media organization. So what does this say for other entities like Pyro Media, like the bloggers that are on, that actually have press passes? I'm not talking about ones that are just out there just doing whatever the hell they're doing. But what does this say for organizations like the Don Lemon Show and the Joy Reid Show and Luke Beasley, okay, and Brian Tyler Cohen? Hell, what about the right-wing media organizations? Because they have a right to say what they want to say too. They have a right to report the news too. I may not agree with it, just like a lot of you may not agree with Don Lemon. But the bottom line is that it's a constitutional right in the United States of America for us to have the First Amendment. They already tried the BS when it came to Renee Good and just recently with Alex Preddy, and talking about the Second Amendment, which I thought was the championing policy and championing point of view when it came to the NRA, when it came to the right, when it came to MAGA. So y'all don't care about that. Well, not that y'all don't care. Y'all being hypocritical on that. But y'all have a problem with Don Lemon reporting because he walked into a church? Now, I don't want to take away from the organizations that Don Lemon was a part of, it being CNN. CNN had made or dropped a statement this morning on Today. And they say, the FBI's arrest of our former CNN colleague Don Lemon raises profoundly concerning questions about press freedom and the First Amendment. The Department of Justice already failed twice to get an arrest warrant for Don and several other journalists in Minnesota, where a chief judge of the Minnesota Federal District Court found there was, quote, no evidence that there was any criminal behavior involved in their work. The First Amendment in the United States protects journalists who bear witness to news and events as they unfold, ensuring they can report freely in the public interest. And the DOJ's attempts to violate those rights is unacceptable. We will be following this case closely. You follow it, girl. Because, you know, I don't dislike CNN. We get a lot of our news from CNN. We get a lot of our reporting and breaking news from CNN, and as well as the other major mainstream news outlets. And I think that they serve a purpose and a place because they have bigger platforms and they have access. However, we are an independent organization. We are an independent outlet. And so we're going to say what the hell we need to say. Y'all didn't give a damn when y'all fired him for freedom of speech, but now y'all care because now it's threatening you guys. This sets a precedence for you guys. That's what the issue is. And I find it interesting that so many people have rallied around those who are of the Caucasian persuasion, but not Black journalists. We'll get to more of that in a moment. Hakeem Jeffries also weighed in this morning. I have my issues with Hakeem, but somebody had to say something from the Democrats. And I'm glad it's them. Of course, I'm seeing more and more having questions and bring concerns to light. But this is what he said this morning. Take a look.
And so Don Lemon, we know, is an accomplished journalist who was doing his job as part of the free and fair press. There's no legitimacy, no basis to Don Lemon's arrest, no basis to the arrest of the other journalists. And the American people are not going to stand for it. And House Democrats are going to stand up for them. And the rights of the free and fair press as central to American democracy and our values in terms of who we are.
So, right, sir. Okay. I'm not going to get into my issues with Hakeem Jeffries, but I'm glad that he did say something. I'd rather him say something than not. So there's that. But I will say this. These are the charges that, where's my paperwork? Okay, here we go. These are the charges that were brought up by Trump, or excuse me, by the Trump DOJ. And what they're alleging right here. Let me see where the charges are here. Okay, these are the federal charges. Conspired to deprive civil rights of worshipers, violating a civil rights statute, interfering with First Amendment rights of religious worship. And these allegations or accusations rather are being brought under rarely used federal laws aimed at protecting civil rights and access to religious worship. This stemmed from his presence, live streaming, and reporting at an anti-immigration enforcement protest that entered and disrupted a church service. Prosecutors argued his actions went beyond passive journalism. What my issue is that he was there solely as a journalist. He did not interfere. He did not jump in. I don't even understand why this is even being discussed. Why are we even having this guy? Why is he still in jail? So is this going to happen moving forward with other journalists, mainstream journalists? You don't like Rachel Maddow, so you're just going to go ahead and arrest her ass because she said something about y'all's titty baby presidents? You don't like Abby Phillips because she disagreed or pushed back on Scott Jennings because he's a bootlicking, orange ass kissing dweeb? What does this say about how we navigate journalism, how we navigate mainstream journalism, what we watch on TV? It's starting to smell and feel like Russia, you guys. It's starting to smell and feel like Russia. But it's not just what is being said. It's not just what is being the accusations that and the trumped up charges that they're, no pun intended, well, actually pun intended, the trumped up charges that they're putting up against Don Lemon. It's how this administration is not only doing this, but how they're reacting and how their quote unquote professionalism is operating in. This is from the the White House Twitter account. And they write, Don Lemon arrested for involvement in the St. Paul church riots. Mind you, it was not riots. There was no riots. They were protests. They weren't breaking anything. They did not damage any church property. There was no injury or bodily harm to any of the attendees. And then they write, when life gives you lemons. Oh, so you think you funny, girl? Y'all think y'all cute? I'm gonna say I was gonna say something. I'm gonna be quiet. I'll talk about it in Patreon. And in this trollop, she gonna go and post. And of course, the White House retweeted it. At my direction, early this morning, federal agents arrested Don Lemon, forgive me if I'm mispronouncing you guys' names. Traherne Jean Cruz, Georgia Fort, and Jamil Liddell Lundy in connection with the coordinated attack on City's Church in St. Paul, Minnesota. Listen to how they are navigating and how they are wording things. It's very white woman. They attacked me. Girl, I was 20 feet away from you. How did I attack you? But I want to bring up that Don Lemon wasn't the only person arrested within the past 24 hours. And I want to bring up a person specifically, Georgia Fort, who is another independent journalist, a well-known independent journalist in Minnesota. We're going to talk more about her when we come back from commercial. But before, I want you guys to look at this video on an interview that happened less than a month ago, within this past a couple of weeks ago, actually, regarding Don Lemon in an interview regarding his the failed attempts that this administration had against him in court. I'll see you on the other side of the commercial.
What is the latest?
You tell me. With this administration, you don't know. Look, I'm not naive. I think they're probably going to try again and again, as they did with Tish James and Kwame and everyone. If one doesn't work, then they try something else, and that fails, and they try something else, and then they just don't give up because they want to save face. But I don't know what's next. I think what's next is that I have to be in it for the long haul, and just to be strong as always, and keep calm and carry on.
Because this federal magistrate judge said that they didn't have a case. Basically, the Department of Justice said that they didn't have a case. I mean, the judge said the Department of Justice didn't have a case. But you think that it's not over?
No, I think it's not over. Because it doesn't matter if there's no law to fit. They will try to fit or retrofit something or go around a judge and just do it themselves. And it doesn't matter. And everything that they say pertains to protesters. I was not a protester. I was very clear about that. If you look at all the evidence, I'm not a protester. And so I think, Allison, not that I think, I know, I was the biggest name. And so if they get a Don Lemon, woohoo, that's a victory. And also, I'm the one who put the information out there.
Hey, it's Pastor Kim from It's Just Kim Live Show, and you're watching Pyro Media Network.
All right, you guys, we are back. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Thank you guys for being a part of Kwame Speaks. I appreciate you guys. If you're feeling so inclined, you can go ahead and bless me directly at KwameC86 or on PayPal at paypal.me/KCorbett with 2 T's and the number 1. You can also bless this platform directly at Pyro Media on Cash App. Okay. If you haven't done so already, please do me a favor and hit that like button so we can go ahead and make sure that everybody knows that we're loud, live, and in color, as well as subscribe if you haven't done so already. And here are the platforms that you can, on Cash App rather, that you can go ahead and donate to if you so choose. Yes, this is getting scary, Cyrus. It's becoming a lot, but we got to hold on. We got to stick with it, and we'll make it on through together. All right, y'all. Let's get into Georgia Fort. I mentioned Georgia Fort prior to coming on or going to commercial, and she is an independent journalist as well. And you know what happened with Don didn't just happen with him. It also happened with Georgia Fort. And so independent journalist Georgia Fort was arrested this morning at her home in St. Paul, Minnesota, after federal agents executed a warrant tied to the same church protest. She live streamed the moment her door was opened and approached by agents. Her First Amendment concerns is Fort explicitly stated she believed she was being targeted for filming the protest. And she is raising urgent questions about press protections when journalists document public dissent. Let's take a look at when she went live and what happened during that time. Take a look.
Do you want to wear my black boots?
You guys, I wanted to alert the public that agents are at my door right now. They're saying that they were able to go before a grand jury sometime, I guess, in the last 24 hours, and that they have a warrant for my arrest. I've talked to my attorney, and I'm being advised to go with them, I guess, down to Whipple. And my children are here. They're impacted by this. This is all stemming from the fact that I filmed a protest as a member of the media. We are supposed to have our constitutional right of the freedom to film, to be a member of the press. I don't feel like I have my First Amendment right as a member of the press because now federal agents are at my door arresting me for filming the church protest a few weeks ago. Again, I don't have a long time here, you guys, but I wanted you to know, for me, agents are at my door right now. My attorney has spoken with them. I did send a relative outside to talk to them. They're showing some type of documentation, apparently, that they got an indictment from a grand jury. I knew that I was on a defendant's list. I did not publish it because it was under seal. And so we've done everything that we can to try and abide by, you know, the advice of our attorneys. But right now, you guys, I wanted you to know I'm going to have to hop off here and surrender to agents as a member of the press. I filmed the church protest a few weeks ago, and now I'm being arrested for that. It's hard to understand how we have a constitution, constitutional rights, when you can just be arrested for being a member of the press. We've seen all these violations. All right, you guys, I gotta go. They're knocking.
Yep, she's coming right now.
Give me 1 second. All right, guys.
You want to?
So I find it disgusting. I find it a huge threat to the freedom of to our First Amendment right. But the organizations like the Reporters Committee for Freedom of the Press affirm that such arrests, especially using federal statutes in this way, are highly unusual and troubling. And then we have a lot of takeaways from this. I want to know, like, first of all, from the attacks on journalism, because that you want to talk about an attack. It's the attack on journalism, really. Timothy says this is authoritarian. This is authoritarianism at its best. It absolutely is effed up, Michaela. And Timothy, you are absolutely right. This is authoritarianism at its best. And honestly, I feel like it's going to be worse than that soon. I feel like we have allowed, and when I say we, I say us as a nation has allowed certain things to be pushed. And honestly, let's have a moment. 1 second, sis, our sister Georgia, for a second. I want to say this. All of what we're experiencing right now, whether people want to argue or people want to debate me on it or not, this is rooted in white supremacy. This is rooted in classism and white supremacy. We could sit here and debate it and all we want, but from the pushing of immigration and ICE on our Latino brothers and sisters and non-binary individuals, this is 100% from police reform being ignored. All of this we talked to you guys about. The Black community has talked to you guys about this. So all of you guys, and I'm not attacking them. I'm not putting the blame on anybody, because everybody is complicit in some way, shape, or form to why we have this administration at this point. For those who did not go and vote, when your vote mattered, you have a part in this. Because we had less people vote in this last election than the election prior. So that's one. Number two, all you Latinos for Trump, you know, the ones that I will vote for Donald Trump. What's happening to you? Those same people are literally getting deported, if not picked up by ICE or detained by ICE. I'm not saying all my Latino brothers and sisters. All I'm saying is a big portion of y'all, because what y'all fail to realize is that they did the same thing to y'all what they did to the Black community, and that is divide and conquer. They started placing stuff in the community's head. They did it with the crack epidemic, because the civil rights movement to this day has been one of the largest and most pivotal movements in history when it came for civil rights movements or civil rights rights and legislation to this day. So what they did is they threw crack into our communities, but that's a whole nother conversation. The election that happened with in the first election, the first Trump election with Hillary, they started putting conversations and having Black conservatism evolve and being pushed. Well, just because I'm Black doesn't mean I have to vote for the left. That's fair. But you also don't have to join into white supremacy when you see it in enveloping and getting involved and seeping into the Republican Party. Because you can't tell me that the same Republican Party today is the same years back. It's not. It's worse. But that's another whole nother conversation. So the same lies that we had with people just saying, "Oh yeah, let's vote for Donald Trump. He gave us, checks and stuff like that." That wasn't true. Did the same thing to Latinos, and now look what happened. And you want to know why? Huddle up, Negroes. Come a little closer. I just wanted to tell you a little something, just so you guys are aware of what's really going on. The reason why they went after Latinos the way they did is because the Latin population was growing at an exuberant amount. They were going to be the majority after a while. And they still are on their way. So either they were going to be at fear of them joining in with as Black and brown unity, or we had to disrupt them and make them just as racist as us, meaning the white supremacists, because they didn't want to be. That's where the whole replacement theory came from. The white replacement theory, that they were being replaced and that we were trying to push them out. See, what y'all don't understand is that the majority, the white majority, they're no longer the majority anymore. They want you to think that, but they're no longer the majority anymore. The problem is that they still, because of the years and years and years of the head start that they had, they built the system. But that's a whole nother conversation. Let's get back to our sister Georgia, because I don't want to get on this bandwagon for y'all to sit here and not understand what the hell's really going on in here. Y'all better wake up and smell the culotta, y'all. It's not a joke. So Georgia Fort and Don Lemon weren't the only ones that were arrested. We also are going to be talking about Treherne Cruz, who's a Black Lives Matter organizer. He was also arrested. This is crazy. But what does this mean, y'all? What does this mean? Let's get to the Fulton County Election Center and the FBI raid that happened there. So on the 28th, okay, on Wednesday, January 28th, the FBI executed a court-authorized search warrant at the Fulton County Election Hub and Operations Center in Union City, Georgia, seizing boxes containing 2020 election ballots, tabulator tabs or tapes, voter rolls, and other records. The raid comes amid ongoing political and legal battles over 2020 election narratives, including repeated, debunked claims of fraud by President Trump. But Georgia officials, including Fulton County leaders, were largely unaware of the raid before it occurred and have raised concerns about ballot custody and democratic norms. Democrats argue the action is politically motivated and risks eroding public trust in elections, while Republicans claim it seeks transparency. Y'all are so full of shit. Y'all are so full of shit. Y'all know exactly what's going on in here. If you guys do not realize that this election, whether the Democrats could have sat on their fingers and they still would have lost the damn, the Republicans still would have lost the majority of the House and the Senate because of how the Republicans have been operating and how Trump has been operating, the administration has been operating this past year. The Trump has never been more deeply unpopular. I believe he is now the most, by his approval ratings, one of the most unpopular presidents in history. So now this was going to flip them or flip the House anyway in our favor. However, what do you do when you already are in a losing battle? You try to get more people not to come and vote, because that's what happened with the last election. A big majority of people that helped tip the scales in when Biden won didn't even show up. And then people are going to start thinking, oh, there's something wrong with the ballot machines. There's something wrong with the process, with the system. And you know what's going to happen? People won't show up. I say all this, y'all, not to and if you guys are still here, please make sure, and all those that are watching on the replays, please make sure that you're hitting that like button and subscribe if you haven't done so already. We appreciate it. But where do we go from here? You know, you heard me today. You heard it today, like a celebrated journalist hauled into custody for doing his job. An independent reporter handcuffed for documenting a protest. Okay? And then we have federal agents hauling away ballots and voter records from the nation's most watched battleground state. This isn't coincidence, you guys. It's a pattern. Let's be unequivocal. These are not isolated events. They're part of a systematic effort led by a Trump administration, backed by MAGA operatives, white evangelical nationalists, and the whispered power brokers of authoritarian nostalgia to intimidate critics, undermine press freedom, and reshape our democracy to serve their interests. This is not about election security, y'all. Let's call it what it is. A weaponization of federal power aimed at silencing dissent and reshaping who gets to speak and who gets to fucking vote. But hear this. The rulers of fear can't scare all of us. America's strength isn't in the fists of those clinging to power. It's in the outrage, the organizing, the collective voice of everyday people who will not be gaslit into submission. So raise your voice. Defend your rights. Go out and vote. Go call your congressman. Go call your representatives. And don't let anyone redefine journalism as crime or ballots as evidence of guilt. Because our democracy, not theirs, belongs to the people. And we are not going anywhere. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I appreciate you guys. This is going to be a long, long road to whatever this is going to be at the end of it all. But I'm going to be here. I'm going to make sure that we don't stop. I'm going to make sure that we continue to speak the truth and truth to power. And I'm going to support any organization that is going to be independent and that is going to speak truth to power. So stay blessed, stay stress-free, stay loud, stay woke. And I'll see you on the other side. We out.
Thank you for watching Pyro Media Network. For more information, please visit pyromedianetwork.com.